Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Uchishta Ganapate Namaha. Om Vijay Ganapate Namaha. Om Raja Ganapate Namo Namaha. Om Bhagavate Shri Swami Narayana Namaha. Om Shri Aksharaya Namaha. Om Shri Mukta Mandalaya Namaha. Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. Om Bhagavate Shri Swami Narayana Namaha. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Radha Krishnaya Namaha. Om Sarvamangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Guru Stotram Shri Guru Stotram Akhanda Mangalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Daily Satsang. We are continuing our exploration of the Atma, of the Brahma Tattva, what this is all about. This is the foundation to ultimately evolve our further understanding into what is Paramatma or Bhagwan Purushottam, what is God. That is a further discussion that we will have a little bit later on based on Vachanamrut and other scriptures also. So we are with Vivek Chudamani at this point to set the foundation to understand the Parabrahma Tattva. Now, in the Advaita Vedanta, there is the notion that there is the one without the second. And this is what we are looking at. In the verse number 20, very famous verse, very famous statement that is known throughout the spiritual world, particularly in Sanatana Dharma, what we call Hindu tradition, that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. See, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya iti evam rupaha vinishyaha saha nitya anitya vastu vivekaha samudharutaha. So the entire verse could be pronounced something like this: Brahma satyam jagat mittheta yevam rupo vinishyah soyam nitya vastu vivekaha samudharutaha. Something like that. Maybe my pronunciation is not 100% on that when we connect all the words, but I think it is correct. So we want to understand the actual reality of what is the Brahman. So along these lines, yesterday we were talking about the word Nishaya and Nishta and some of the problems with that word, the misunderstandings of it in the history of humanity. But the actual conviction that Shankaracharya ji is talking about is not anything fanatical or religious affiliation like that. It has to do with a firm conviction, firm belief that there is the Brahman. There is the vast infinite consciousness. This belief is called Vinishyaha. Now, the development of this belief occurs through a series of steps, series of examinations in life. So there is something called Karya Karana Sambandha. When we examine the world, we see that the world is the effect. Everything is the effect. There is a cause. So cause-effect relationship. In the life of Shri Gunatitananda Swami, when he was a child, when he was like 7 or 8 years old, he was awakened and enlightened from childhood. So he would ask the learned Pandits and others, what is Karya and what is Karan? It's a Vedanta question. So they had hard time answering. So he answered very simply, this Jagat that we see is Karya and Bhagwan, that is Karan. So in Vedanta, when our attention is placed on the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes, which does not have any other cause, that is the Brahma Tattva. And everything that is in Prakriti is in the cause-effect relationship. Just take anything. I mean, literally, take absolutely anything, any object. Take any book, for example. You take any book, somebody thought about a book, somebody created it. There's a person behind it, which we cannot see. We see the effect. We see the effect. We don't see the cause, but the cause is implied. When anything exists, it came from somewhere, isn't it so? So, logically, we can be convinced that there is the cause of all causes. Sarva karana karanam. All right. But then what? So what if we're convinced? So I could be convinced sitting here thinking, yeah, okay, there is God, there's the Brahman, there's this, there's that. How does that do anything in my life at all? So there is great practical implication, because as we're living in our life, we are living in the throes of the effect of creation. So to live in this world with that realization that we are revolving in the effect of creation, of the creative power of the Brahman, we want to evolve into perceiving the cause, the Brahman itself in Prakriti. It's like seeing the waves on the ocean and forgetting the ocean. We don't want to forget the ocean. We can appreciate the waves, but we realize the glory of the ocean. Everything that we see in Prakriti, all the names and forms, Nam, Roop, Akar. Nam means name, Roop means form, and Akar also means form. So Nam, Roop, Akar means that everything that is perceptible through the five senses is like the wave on the ocean. It is the effect, it is the evolution of Prakriti. Now the vision called Brahma Drishti is called Brahma Drishti. Drishti means vision. Brahman means to see the Brahman, the vast. That to see the ocean in the wave removes the notion that there is only the wave. The wave is nothing but the ocean in a different form. The Brahmandas that are there, infinite Anantakoti Brahmanda, are existing within Chidakash, and they are another kind of, it's just another form of the Chidakash. It cannot be something completely separate from Chidakash. It is dependent, it is Paratantra, it is not Swatantra. So there's two words here, Paratantra and Swatantra. The wave is dependent on the ocean, is it not so? The pot is dependent on the clay. The concept of a pot is dependent on the clay. These are Vedanta examples, commonly used. Similarly, everything we see in the universe, the Milky Way galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy, the massive galaxy clusters, local cluster, higher clusters, now they have so many new theories about the universe and multiverses and all kinds of things are there in physics. Beyond our ability to grasp any of it. Very difficult to understand. It's infinite, Anant. Our scriptures say Ananta Koti Brahmand. This is already written by the sages. How did they discover? Through Samadhi. They discovered through internal probing and realization. And by grace of God, they discovered all this. So the infinite universes, they come and go. The expansion and contraction. Sankoch, Vikas, Avastha. Vachanamrut also talks about this. Expansion and contraction. Even the Brahma, Vishnu, Shiv have certain life. They have certain body, Ishwaras. They come and go, come and go, come and go. Then there's the Sadashiv, there's the Mahavishnu. There's so many things. Those are higher level ideas. So, in our life, we can open our vision to see the Brahma Satyam in everything that is going on. It is like you are standing on the beach, you are seeing wave after wave after wave, but you never forget that it is only the ocean in a different form. Right? That's an analogy. Now, how does that analogy work in our life? When we see, okay, so this is a practical exercise. To do this, actually, we first remember our Ishta Devata and Bhagwan, whichever Ishta Devata we have, and we remember our gurus, all the great sages. If you have a personal guru, fine. If not, Hanumanji, Ganeshji can be guru also, no problem. Or you can make the scripture also guru. It's fine, but have some guru in that sense. Bhagavad Gita can be guru. Something that you believe in, someone that you believe in, that is an enlightened being, or some teachings that are enlightened, that's fine. Hanumanji is also considered to be guru. Hanumanji is an excellent place to begin if you don't have a guru. So, bowing down to them first. After that, put on in your eyes the vision that the sages and the Gita and the scriptures have. Start seeing the world through the lens of the scriptures. Now, what does that mean? Let's look at it very practically. Start with your family. So, okay, this is my family. Can we see the family with Brahma Drishti? Just start with that. Don't worry about anything else. Start just with the family and say, this is a manifestation of Brahman here. Manifestation of the infinite. The infinite has become this particular form. Wow. The infinite is holding this particular form. The infinite Brahman is there, and this is a solidified form because it has to be. The Prakriti that is there is another power of the Brahman only. Can we do that? You know what happens inside our minds with family members? We have incredible number of attachments. Raga, Dvesha, Aham, Mamatva, pain, suffering, attachments. Iska koi ant nahi hai. It's like these are waves of energy that are flowing through the three gunas of Maya. To directly perceive that and to uplift beyond that. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it difficult? No. Not at all. You know why it's not difficult? Because I'll put it this way, it's actually very straightforward when we just put on the Brahmic vision. That whoever I'm seeing, that is the God in that form. That's all. Very simple. Now, what's the big deal about that? Just start seeing God everywhere. Whoever you see, first see God, then interact relatively. And then interact in a way that the mind-body complex and the ignorance and attachments and all that stuff of that person, the faults of that person, you may be aware of that, but none of that is that is not penetrating inside of you. You are seeing beyond that into the Atma itself. इसको ही ब्रह्म दृष्टि कहते हैं, आत्म दृष्टि कहते हैं. It's a vision, but that vision is going to open when we want to have that vision. We tend to see God in the images, in the murtis, in the scriptures, in the gurus, in the temples, in the gurudwaras and in the granthas and all those things. We fail to see God in those who are around us. Bhagavad Gita is saying, Sri Krishna Bhagwan says, Yo mam pashyayati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. See me in everyone and everything you see in me. Meaning what? If we have an image of Sri Krishna Bhagwan as an example, see everything inside the image, inside the murti, infinite universe. That's the Ishta Devata. Whoever the Ishta Devata is. Sometimes sometimes people have faith. So, based on our faith, some people have Ishta Devata as Guru. I mean, in Sanatana Dharma, that is, there's no real prevention of that. Although in Shikshapatri, Bhagwan Swaminarayan has given a little differentiation that the Brahmavetas and the Gurus and all that, they should be kept as Gurus. God is God, like that. That some differentiation is placed like that by some teachers. Whatever it may be, the fact of the matter is we need to be able to perceive the reality of the Brahma Tattva, the vast infinite consciousness, as manifesting in all of the names and forms. Muktanand Swami has written in Swaminarayan Sampradaya, Jya juve tya Ram ji, biju na bhase re, anubhavi ananda ma brahmarasana bhogi re, jivana mukta jogiya antar arogi re. We'll look at that kirtan in more detail, hopefully in the next couple of days. It's a pad. It explains the whole Brahma Vidya. Anubhavi anandama brahmarasana bhogire. Brahmaras. The Brahmaras kya hota? What is Brahmaras? We know Vishayaras with the Panch Vishayas. Shabda, Sparsh, Ruparas. We know what is Brahmaras. To tap into that Brahmaras, this is where bhakti, along with scriptural contemplation and Manan Chintan, Seva, all that is connected, that is connecting through Nishta with faith, that begins to open the Brahmaras. It is a divine joy. Brahmaras is divine emotion. See, Brahmaras is divine thought, divine emotion, divine memory, divine energy, divine action. Everything is Divya. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is seen through the light of divinity. Every situation is seen through the light of divinity. It is divine emotion. Hamare mein kya hota hai? We have emotions that are based on our attachments. Based on our interaction, our brain has formed an incredible number of attachments. So to transcend those attachments neuropsychologically, Adi Shankaracharya ji is directly hitting at the very root, saying, you know what? The Brahman is real. And this Jagat that you're seeing, which includes people, places, things, trees, plants, animals, mountains, universes, galaxies, everything. This is a bubble on the ocean of consciousness that is going to pop. It is a bubble. In Vedas, Bhagavan Swaminarayan mentioned there are Vishnu bubbles. Vishnus are also, infinite Vishnu Bhagavan are there. They're like bubbles on the ocean of the substratum of Akshara Brahma. Infinite number of Mahavishnus come and go. Where is the question of us? Who are we? They are the Ishwaras. And they also come and go. Which we cannot understand. That thing is beyond our imagination. It's absolutely mind-boggling and mind-blowing baat hai sab. So to evolve into the Brahma Drishti, two things are there. The experience of the world, yes, the experience is there, but the experience is there as a doorway into the Brahman. See, this is the whole point of Kashmiri Shaivism. Kashmiri Shaivism is saying that all the activity of creation, sustenance, destruction that is going on again and again and again, it is ongoing through Shakti, through under Prakriti. We recognize that. We recognize the glory of Prakriti. Wow. Prakriti ka khel, hum jo kehte hain Maya ka khel. Okay, that is called Leela. This is called Chid Shakti Vilasa. There's a book like this called Chid Shakti Vilasa, written by Muktanand Baba. It's not from part of Swaminarayan, it's a different Muktanand Baba. And his guru was Bhagwan Nityanand. Very enlightened being. Like a roaming sannyasi. It's a long lineage there. Siddha Yoga Foundation. So, Chit Shakti Vilas means what? That the great divine power of God is playing in the way of names and forms. That is also a vision. That is the energetic vision. To see the one energy taking different forms and different movements and different patterns. That is called Chit Shakti Vilasa. It's very beautiful. And when we begin to open our vision meditatively, that this is all one energy taking different forms, we are free. That is a living liberation. This is where the higher consciousness work needs to happen. Otherwise, as we are, what is this fate of most human beings? They develop tremendous amount of bondage and attachment and clash and energetic damage. And then by the time the end of the life comes, a person dies with all of that type of great entanglement. And then the body goes, but the Jivatma goes back into Sansar. So to prevent that from happening, those who want mukti are called mumukshus. Remember what Shankaracharya ji said. The 4 sadhanas, and the 4th one there is mumukshutvam. So when we have that bhav of mumukshutvam really comes about when we want to see beyond the names and forms. So when we begin to see beyond the names and forms, what happens to us? What happens to our brain, to our mind? It becomes very steady, silent, still, clear. It is undisturbed. It is only through the undisturbed mind can the perception of the Brahma Tattva occur. Then that reality comes to us. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. It is a reality that's the case. That the Brahman, now the actual Brahman, what is that? What is the Brahma Tattva? What is it exactly? That is a self-luminous revelation. As the sadhana increases, as one goes further and further into development towards God, the divine power begins to transmute into ojas. It awakens. And it is not describable. It is a great state of internal liberation. It is liberation. The individual gets liberated from the distortions, difficulties, and the problems of the sansar. And in doing so, in living that liberated life, there is this constant holding, day to day, moment to moment, Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Viveka, which we looked at for many days. He repeats that line again. He repeats it again because it is a conviction of what is Nitya versus Anitya. And when we have that conviction, our mind naturally searches for that which is real. It is like that deer analogy. The deer stop running towards the mirage, hypothetically. If a person has jnana that that's not water, they stop running. That doesn't mean they have found water. If I'm thirsty and if I'm running towards illusory mirage, I can stop running if I realize that's not water. But that doesn't mean I have found water. That is why the word vinishaya is used here, that to discover actually where is that Brahma Tattva, the fountain of joy. That discovery needs to be made. And to make that discovery, that viveka opens up from within, that this entire material world is coming and going. So the mind retracts away from it, not through suppression. It just naturally retracts away. There's a shloka in the Gita, Yada sanharate chayam kurmo angani va sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyastasya pragna pratishtita. This is in chapter 2. Just as the tortoise withdraws all of its limbs and remains steadfast and protected, similarly, one who is wisdom is pratishtit is a natural withdrawal of the vritti internally. You're still performing action externally to some extent. It's going on, but the amount of activity that is usually done to just pursue the vishayas, that stops. Most of it stops because it's seen as futile. It's like the deer that stopped running towards the mirage. It's like, why am I running for this thing? What am I running for? Then that same energy is used to uplift oneself to a much greater state. That same power is used to discover what is the Atma. And that is where the scriptures, upasana, bhajan, kirtans, all the spiritual paraphernalia, everything that we do, temples and all of that is a sadhana to realize the Nitya Tattva, the Brahma Tattva. And then the question still becomes, what is the Atma? How is that? Well, it is the self. It is a self-luminosity. It is the light of infinite suns. It is who you are. Actually who you are. As opposed to who you think you are through the mind. The actual discovery of the Atma. The Atma is to be discovered. It is to be realized that this is me, but not this limitation. And in that realization, infinite universes are there. Everything is there. As one goes further and further towards the Atma, there are so many intermediate stages. Siddhis prop up. All different kinds of powers pop up. So many things happen in that. The universes can be seen in Samadhi. This is all before the Atma comes. Chakras are seen. They're visualized in meditation. This is an internal journey, right? Yes, there's the internal journey to discover the Atma. And then there is also the change, fundamental transformation in one's vision of the Prakriti itself. So the more inner development we have, the more change there is in our vision. Now there's ways of starting. You can start at the end point through vinishaya. That's what he's asking us to do. Start with this belief that the Brahman is real, that the self is real, that God is real. Everything else is coming and going. Just stay with that idea. Don't move away from that. That is what is meant by a firm conviction, vinishaya. The firmness of the conviction that this is the case. And that is why examination of the world, satsanga, looking at things in many different ways, seeing everything coming and going. But then who belongs to us? Millions of people are coming and going. We've said it so many times. We know this. Children know this. Who doesn't know this? But we don't meditate on that fact. Once we sit silently for dhyan, for sadhana, that is where that Brahmananda, Anubhaviyanandama, Brahmaras, that Brahmaras, ras means the enjoyment of the Brahman, enjoyment of the contemplation on the Brahman. Because Jivatma cannot live without enjoyment. We want enjoyment, we want happiness, we want joy. We always want that. If there's no motivation, where does motivation come from? From the experiences we are seeking. So there is a motivation to realize God. Because there is so much ananda in that, in the journey also. And that is what he's talking about here. This is very, very significant in terms of its day-to-day realization. So there is a place in our life to sit for dhyan, then some puja archana, then some yogasana, then some walking in nature, then some study of scriptures, then doing our usual work in the sansar. All of that thing has to be in the right balance, the 12 dimensions of life. They have to be in the proper balance. And it is only through that proper balance that there are going to be states where the mind begins to take a jump further. These are the flashes of insight, and it will jump further beyond its limitation. By the grace of God. And by upasana. Upasana is very important. Worshipping Bhagwan with great feeling, great love, great affection. All of this is very healthy for the mind. It is an adhar. There's a sakhi that is in Swamini Vato. Chit ki vritti ek hai, bhave tya lagao, bhave to vishay kamao. Bhave to, let me see, I think I forgot that. Let's see. Chit ki vritti ek hai, bhave tya lagao. Bhave to hari ki bhakti karo, bhave to vishay lagao. Meaning the chitta vritti, our thinking, it is going to be, it needs some anchor somewhere. Either it is in the Vishayas or it is in Paramatma ka Manan Chintan, Bhajan Bhakti, etc. We have to decide which way we want to keep it attached. Chit ki vritti ek hai. Bhave tya laga. Bhave means with your bhavana, you decide where you want to attach it. It could be in the worldly life, and there is need for that also. But at the same time, to be lost in that is a problem. So somebody can keep pursuing that, or can say, no, I'm going to take the spiritual path to discover what is God, to please God, and still continue my world and be a liberated being, and live a life of liberation, rather than a life of torment and anguish and entanglement and problems. And it happens to us, right? Just if we just take family members, for example, like my father passed away in August, you don't realize how deep inside those engraved entanglements are. Don't realize. Somebody who is with you for your whole life is gone now, and then sometime in the dream something will pop up here or there. Why is that? Because of this sambandha, the internal sambandha with that individual. Now why other people don't pop up? Why this person pops up? Why is that? Can you imagine the energy that it takes for the brain to generate the dream world? What happens to that energy if it doesn't generate that crazy dream world? It will be so silent, then that power will be used for Brahmachintan, for Brahmaras. Otherwise, so much of our power, incredible amount of it is used to generate the dream world because of our attachments and our confusions and problems and chaos inside the system. That is the whole notion of Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is where the mind is so still and silent, just enough. Person sleeps 4 to 5 hours just for the purpose of rest for the body and is fully active all the way through without energy wastage. Because life is lived in the waking state with so much enlightenment that nothing is carried over into the nighttime. That is truly living in the present. That is why Bhagwan Swaminarayan, he mentioned that the Paramahansas are standing on the door of what is called awareness, Janpanu. On one side is the world, and the other side is Akshara Brahma, is God, is the Dham, is the enlightenment. It's like that, so when we're standing on that door of enlightenment, our dream state is not going to be created like crazy. It's the same thing as a hallucination. People who have schizophrenia and hallucinations, they're hallucinating while they're awake. We are hallucinating at nighttime. That's the only difference. But the brain cuts off the movement of the body. Otherwise, there's all kinds of sleep disorders. I won't go into that here. There are God knows how many sleep disorders where people are walking around at nighttime and cooking different things, and they go back to sleep and they don't even have any memory, and all kinds of problems are there. Why all that is there? There's so much confusion inside our system. So much chaos inside the human system, and that's what's creating the horrific situation at night. The number of people that have sleep disturbances has increased so much. And if you add drugs and alcohol and all these things, this will be even tenfold worse. That is a way of opening the door into hell. Bhagwan Sri Krishna has already said this clearly. What more do we need? He says, Kam, Krodh and Lobh. These are the 3 doorways into Naraka, into hell. And we see that. We don't need to go far. If you go to any common individual, if you really probe into their life, they are having some problems at nighttime, some crazy they may not tell anybody, but if you get closer, they might be able to tell you. And particularly people who use substances and all that, oh my God. But it's not just that, it's the ordinary human being that is so overrun by attachments of every kind. Shankaracharya ji is blowing that up from the root. This verse, number 20, destroys the entire tree of ignorance from the root. That is its power. That is the power of the words of the enlightened sages. They cut it right from the root. And this is also described in Vachanamrut beautifully, Ahmedabad number 3. And he's explained, he's given an analogy of a tree that is completely dead except for one root is alive. And so in that sense, the tree still remains alive. Nothing else is there, everything else is gone. But that tree is still alive because one root is still attached inside the ground. It's like that. One gets lost inside the sansar. Even if one attachment is there, one will still keep this sansar and its attachments alive inside. But when all the attachments are gone and only the Bhagwan is kept, then you know what happens? God takes over. So that's another way we can start this thing. If we want to be enlightened, it's not so hard. We just say, Bhagwan, you take over. You are seeing through me. You are talking through me. You are touching through me. You are the one who is doing everything. Sachin is not doing anything. Nobody is doing anything. You are doing it all. We can start with that. That is also a state of realization, but we can start with that belief, Vinishyaha, that Bhagwan is seeing in Vachanamrut Garada number 27. Maharaj has mentioned so beautifully that through the eyes of the enlightened being, God is seeing. It's like that. Through the ears of the enlightened being, God is hearing. We can start with that belief that Bhagwan is within me. You know what we always think? We think God is outside, Murti is puja. Yes, fine. Go a bit further. Bring that Murti inside of you, that is seeing through you, is present within you. So we keep a distance from Bhagwan. Close the distance. That closing the distance is giving the ego over to God, and the distance closes. And then when that distance closes, we immediately, our consciousness begins to uplift into the Nitya Tattva. That is God, Bhagwan, that is whatever it is, it will begin to unravel itself. And then the real, this it's called Bhakta Bhagwan Sambandha. That sambandha, that relationship is built, and then that relationship continues further and further. That's it. And then so then Bhagwan Sri Krishna says that I will take care of that devotee. Nobody. But when God is going to take care, where is the issue of worrying about anybody else? He will set the situation, circumstance in such a way so you can reach the destination. Deho Narayano Harihi. Yoga Kshema Vaham Vyaham. Bhagavad Gita is saying this. These are the ideas for today. We will continue on this for a few more days. There's a lot of other connections to this which we have not explored yet, but we will go into it step by step. Okay, stop here for today.